Hey, what's up, Dream Chasers? It's Jacey. Please forgive this very bright light on my face. I need to invest in some blackout curtains and some studio lights or something. This video is brought to you by Patreon, so help me buy that stuff if you like these videos. Anyway, so I'm gonna show you guys today how to in Clip Studio Paint use their 3D model feature. You can import 3D models into your program and use them as like a reference for your art. It's very cool. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So first, this is like the first little screen that comes up when you open Clip Studio. And you want to go to Paint. All right. So, so here's the sport. I'm going to hide this. We're going to pretend it's not here because I'll show you how to open this in case it's not for you. Okay. So we're going to start a new file. So we go to File, New. I have this set to a custom preset, 8.5 by 11 and 300 dpi. The unit is in inches. Just set over here and hit OK. And so this is like a piece of paper sized canvas. And I want to drag a model into this so I can use it for reference. So what I'm going to do to find my model, I'm going to Window up here, Material, and I want to see a body type. So that opens this 3D panel here. So you have there's characters, there's also objects, backgrounds, but we're not going to get into that for this video. We're just going to go over models. So we're going to start with body type. So we're just going to drag. I have some stuff loaded in here. You probably just see this as a default. Maybe one other, a woman. I'm not sure where that went for me, but I think there's usually 2 default models. I'm not positive on that. But you just drag that onto your canvas, and then you have this figure. So there's a lot of settings on how you can control it, and if you're new to kind of 3D programs, it can be a little overwhelming. I was kind of overwhelmed by this feature, and I didn't use it for a long time because I wasn't sure how. Now that I know how, I want to kind of demystify it for everyone else. So first, I'm just going to go over each of these little tools at the top here and kind of show you what they do. So these first 3, you'll notice it's kind of a little camera icon. So what you're doing here is you're controlling the camera. So this one lets you control the camera angle. So you're moving the camera around the figure so you can get a really extreme low shot. What I'm doing, I'm just clicking on that and dragging with my mouse to control where the camera goes. I'm kind of like holding down the click button. So that's to control the camera angle. This is to kind of just sort of slide the camera around in space. So if you had a bunch of objects in this scene, you'd be able to kind of frame it differently and sort of controlling your composition. And then this is just zooming in and out. So you're just able to kind of get a wider shot, a closer shot. And then these next, 5 icons here, they have this little box. So now you're actually moving the figure around in the space. So this is just the camera, so the figure is fixed. But now we're going to move the figure. So this one, you can move them up or down. You can see they're kind of being cut through the floor now. You're able to, or you can make them float. So, this is useful depending on what's going on in your scene. You want to be able to move the character around. And they're not coming forward or backward at all, just up and down and side to side. This one, this lets you rotate them in 3D, so you can just completely spin them around and have complete control of that. But maybe you want to rotate them just this way. So it's kind of like you would imagine, that there's sort of like a center line here, and you're just kind of rotating them around that point. And then this one, it's like the center line would be top to bottom, so you're just kind of spinning them around. I find that this is one of the first things I'm always using, right? This tool is like very useful when you want to pose a character and try to figure out where they should be. And then I'm going to skip ahead, cheat, and show you what that button does. That's the revert to initial pose. And then this one here, this is what lets you move the character in 3D space. So you're moving them around forward. It's not just front and back, or it's not just side to side in a fixed place, but you're actually changing the depth. So you're not making them smaller, you're putting them further away. You're not making them bigger, you're bringing them closer. So that's kind of an important distinction, because when you're getting scale, it is a little clunky when you first click on it. I feel like that always happens where you're like way up here. You kind of have to drag the mouse down to pop them back to the floor. But yeah, so that's what all those tools do. And then I'll show you what all these bottom ones here. So this one will let you toggle between stuff. So if I had a second figure here, come in. She's very far away. There we go. So I had a second figure here, and I want it to switch between them. I would just hit these buttons. So this is really useful if you have a bunch of objects or a bunch of characters, and you're having a hard time just selecting stuff. And then this also just pops up a list. So you have your camera, your lighting, things like that. And then these are the characters. So if you wanted to hide something, you can do that easily. A lot of this stuff, in my opinion, is kind of advanced. I don't really do much in here. I mean, you can come in and add like an outline. I'm not exactly sure what manga perspective does. Manga. I'm not even sure how to say it. This is cool too. There's like these features, like you can put your character's hand in the fist or more relaxed. You can have their fingers more spread out. This is really useful if you're trying to kind of change sort of the hands and sort of relax them or make them more tight. You can get into body shape where you can sort of edit. You can make the character really beefy. You can make them kind of fatter. You can make them leaner. So this is also pretty useful. I don't know. I haven't done anything with light source. I guess you could just get rid of it if you don't want it. But like I said, this is like maybe a little more advanced stuff. And then this is very cool. So if you're planning out like a comic, let's say, this is a very useful thing because you can know what kind of camera angle you might want to have, and so you're going to be choosing sort of these scenes. So that's the character from behind, and this is cool because you can kind of set up a scene, let's say, with objects and characters and things going on, and instead of changing it for each panel, you can just change your camera angle and get multiple angles of the same exact shot, which is very useful. So that's a very cool feature. This just, you're focusing, you're kind of centered in on that. This snaps them to the ground. So if we, let's say, had this character floating. Oh no, that's wrong. This is cool. You can save. So if you come up with a pose that you're like, I'm gonna use this pose a lot. Like maybe my character. We'll get into all the posing stuff in a minute, but maybe your character has some kind of very elaborate transformation sequence. I don't know, some pose that you're gonna use a lot. You can save it. So you'd click this little box here. You'd name your pose. And you'd be able to save it and come back to it in the future. And then this is cool. This will flip your character. So if you have your pose all set up and you're like, wait, that's wrong, it's backwards. Easy peasy. And then this one here reverts your pose back to the initial pose. This one resets your model scale. So if, we'll go over all these too, if you made your model very big or very large and you're like, no, you can just reset the scale. And then the same thing if you say rotate your character or it gets like way out of hand and you're like, what's going on? You just reset the rotation. You can also, I don't know what this does, register 3D drawing. I'm not sure what this does. I've never used it. Someone could teach me maybe. And then here there's a pose scanner. So if you click on this little arrow, and you go to use 3D pose material. If you've saved any poses, and I'll show you where you find all these and get more, you can load that, and then cool, now you have this pose. Or if you just click on that, you can load in a pose. So I'm gonna load that one, and they don't always work. That one's a little awkward. This would take some adjusting. So sometimes you load in a pose from a photo. It's a very cool feature. It's just it's not always 100%. But this one I think works a little better. Yeah. So that's a pretty accurate pose to what we scanned. It's not always gonna get it. I find that lying down poses, it gets a little confused. I think it kind of doesn't know what to do. Actually, it might have handled that one a little better. I've seen it not handle lying down poses very well. Then you would just have to also rotate, you know. I don't know, but it's a very cool thing that it exists. It's not 100%. And then this here, let me just kind of reset here. This feature, so it's locking in certain places. So I had the leg selected here, I guess, and it decided to lock in the ankle. So now when I move it, it's gonna keep that ankle fixed. I haven't really done a lot with that yet. I feel like I can recognize that it's a cool feature. Like if you just wanted to like move your character around, but you didn't want their ankles to move, you can then do it here too. So I'm gonna keep the hand in place. I could see where this would be useful. It's just something that I haven't really gotten into. And if you want to turn that off, you just turn it off. We're gonna reset, and let's also come back to, let's reset them to the floor, which is, that scale, this one. There we go. Okay. All right. So now let me show you how to pose the character. So if you're not familiar with 3D programs, this can feel really overwhelming. So we're just gonna go through it step by step. So when you click on the model, you see these little circles on certain points of the body, and then you can kind of highlight different parts of the body, and then you have this down here. So what this does, this is similar to some of these things. This lets you rotate it, so you're moving the model on different axes. So this one rotates it this way, this one rotates it this way, this one rotates it this way. And then for here, same thing, you're moving them up and down in space, you're moving them side to side, and you're moving them forward and backwards. So this actually gives you a little bit more control than like that feeling a little wonky, right? You can just forward and backwards. If you've ever used any 3D programs, like 3D modeling programs, you're probably already familiar with that. And then this one here, this controls your scale. So if you want to make your character very, very small, very tall, you're getting scale here. And these, so when you click on the character once, you get that. When you click on them twice, you get that. So you're clicking on like a specific part. So I'm just gonna click off and then click on them. And so if you grab one of these circle kind of joints here, you can move them by that, that spot. And then, the neck and the torso ones are a little stiffer, right? The hands, you're moving the whole arm by the wrist when you grab that, and the whole leg by the ankle. As for this, you're just kind of moving their hips or their shoulders. But I also want to point out, here, let me reset. There's one up here, and it's controlling where your character is looking, which is very cool. So you can get your character to look up or down. It's kind of like head tracking. That I think is a very neat thing to be able to just kind of control in a very intuitive way. And then you can also select. So if I want to select just that part of the arm, I can. If I want to select that part of the leg, I can. But you notice these little tools kind of come up here, these little extra controls. So this is where you get into, you can kind of like pivot things, right? So your leg, you have like kind of a joint here where, you can sort of spread out your leg. And we can do that naturally, pretty naturally. It kind of stops here. You can point your toe to the side, but you're not going to turn your whole leg around. And then this would control moving it forward. It's not, it isn't like exactly perfect. You can end up doing some unnatural poses, but they did a pretty good job, like making it so you can rotate the shoulder in a natural way, but maybe not too much. The arm's not really raising too much above that, and that kind of rotated shoulder position. And so these kind of just give you a little extra control. It's a little hard to really control. You can end up in some like unnatural places. And then same thing, it just gets, I'm going to zoom in so you can see, like, you can also get pretty good control. You can control individual fingers, so you can, grab that part of the finger there and move it, and then you can get this one bent, and so it's a very cool thing to be able to control. So you can get a very specific hand pose if you want, based on that. And same thing, you can kind of, I guess this is really just swiveling the whole character. Yeah, I guess, okay, so that's the center point for that. But if you get to like all these different sections, there you go. So you're twisting, you know, just at the waist, you can kind of lean the character back. You can end up in some unnatural kind of stuff, but it's cool that they give you this much control. And the thing that I find really is, it is hard to get a natural pose, so it's good to load in a pose, and then maybe adjust it, or, you know, load one in from a photo and then maybe adjust it, because you have kind of a more of a starting point. And you'll notice it's not as obvious on the male model, but here, let me get her in here. So I'm gonna drag this pose to her. You'll notice sometimes too, like, you get like these clipping issues where in real life her forearm would kind of push her breast in a little bit. So you're gonna have to count for that stuff in your drawing, because, you know, it's kind of clipping through it. But it's a very cool starting point. I guess we'll go into body types. So I have a couple body types here that I got from their little asset library. And so, you know, if you have different kinds of characters, this is really useful. You know, if you have like your average, you know, like super not muscular, like regular looking person, I'm gonna reset the scale because I think these got like a little weird. You know, and you wanna contrast that with a big beefy character, you can do that. So I'll show you how I found these models. Down here it says search for additional materials. Just click on that, and it's gonna kind of open up this asset library. And you want to make sure that you're logged in so you can access all this. Except if you're not logged in, I don't think you can. And go over here to detail, and now you can pick the type of thing you're looking for. So I'm looking for a body shape. I want a new body shape that I can load. And I don't have any gold currently. You can buy gold, so you can pick free if you want. I'm gonna leave that just so you can see that some of them cost money. It's pretty cheap generally. Okay, so there's some body types here. Some people have made some sort of chibi kind of body types, which you can get into changing your character's head size. You can kind of customize models a little bit, but these are just all kinds of different body types that people have made and loaded in. Most of them are free. Occasionally you'll see some here. So like 100 gold, you can buy 1,000 gold for about $10 through their little shop, and I'll show you what that looks like actually. So if we were gonna buy, this one's 20 gold. If we were gonna buy this, go to checkout now, and then purchase with gold. Well, I don't have any gold, so you just click on that, and it's gonna load up their shop where you can buy gold. So it's pretty easy. I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna look for a new body type. It's more loading. Maybe something with like kind of a bigger character. Honestly, I feel like they're tools to making the characters fatter. Like I don't know. There's so many different ways that fat could be distributed on a body. So I feel like the defaults for just making your character fatter aren't great. And I don't feel like there's a lot of really good, like, fat characters. Like, that's okay. It's I don't know. I'm not sure I'm gonna find what I really want in here, but something is better than nothing, because you're just using this as a reference. It's just a starting point, so, you know, it's not the worst thing. I guess we'll go with this one, because I don't want to spend forever looking for the perfect model. So I'm going to, apparently I had downloaded it at some point. I'm going to re-download it. I think I wasn't crazy about some of the way it looked. I don't know, but is it downloading? This material exists. Oh, okay, all right. I'm gonna minimize that. Go into downloads. All right, so it's in my downloads folder here, which is like under all this 3D stuff. I'm gonna drag that into body shape or body type. So now it's here, and I'm going to put the character on the floor. I don't know why this character is so short. I think that I don't know. I just wasn't crazy about this model. I feel like it doesn't look to me how fat really is distributed on a body. It's kind of awkward. Like I feel like their arms probably would look a little different. I don't know. It's it leaves a lot to be desired. I'll just say that. So I think that's why I got rid of that model. I wasn't super into it. And if you want to delete something, you can just click on it, and then there's like a little trash can down here. I'm not really crazy about that model, so I'm probably not going to use it. It's deleted from here. It's still in my scene because I dragged it. To get rid of that, you just click on it and delete. So now let's go over how to find poses. I don't know if this pose really fits this guy, right? We probably need some new ones. So we're in this pose folder here, and we're gonna search for additional material again. It's gonna bring up that same asset library, and this time we're gonna go to detail pose, and we'll click free. I'm just gonna go with free poses. So this is cool. They have specific poses just for hands. They have poses for sitting. So we're gonna do this one. I'm gonna download this and go to our download folder. Here we go. So it's here now. We're gonna drag that over to our pose folder, and let's have this guy. So yeah, he's just chilling now. He's just sitting. He's just chilling, relaxing. So that's how you would load in new poses. And what's cool, like I showed you before, you can save these, so you can save this pose, register, so if I wanted to change this, maybe I wasn't super happy with some of it, maybe I wanted to move his hand to his lap, or and sit here and adjust that to make that look natural. Like I said, I find that a lot of pose stuff for me, it's like I like to start with a pose and then go back and edit it, which is useful. And then one last thing I want to show you, which is really neat. So we're gonna reset our guy here, and I learned this feature kind of by mistake. So when you click on a character and you have this body thing and you use your scroll wheel, you get this really weird like perspective thing. Like, what is happening, right? This looks really weird. A few times I was like, what happened? And I would just like Control Z because I wasn't sure what I did. And when you scroll back with the mouse, it goes back to normal. So why on earth would you need that? Well, I'll show you. Once I kind of thought about the possibilities of this, I got really excited. So let's say you had a character who was, they're jumping, they're flying towards the camera, and you wanted to have, let me make it a little easier myself. You wanted to have like their arm reaching out. So you have this character here who is maybe reaching up towards the camera. There we go. So we have this character and he's reaching up towards the camera, and he's he's like flying or something. I'm gonna zoom in and kind of rotate the hand a little bit more. And this doesn't really look like, that like really extreme kind of flying, action pose that you would expect. This doesn't really look like that, right? It's a little boring. Like his hand is it's the same size of his face. I don't know, you'd want that like exaggerated where the hand looks really big. See how it's coming towards you, my camera. So to do that, if you click on the character and then you do this, right? You zoom. Now you're getting that really exaggerated camera angle. So you kind of want to set your pose how you want it, and then you do that and you get that. Oops. So see, I did it while I was on just the torso, and the scroll wheel rotated it. I didn't want to do that. You want to make sure you're on this like whole body thing, and then you just want to scroll, and you can get really exaggerated. It can go pretty far, or you can kind of have it somewhat exaggerated, and maybe he's waving. I don't know. maybe it's a slightly different. I don't know what I'm doing, but you kind of get the point of like you can use this for those really exaggerated kind of action manga, comic book superhero stuff. It's very cool. So you can tell he looks pretty normal on other rotations of like other angles, but from here you've got this really extreme kind of view, and you can also tell that this grid kind of beneath him sort of stretched. So you can see the grid is changing as well. So you're kind of understanding like what this perspective's doing, and you can just zoom back out. I just thought that was a very cool thing to be able to do, so you can kind of push your art. It's smart. It's a slick feature. So, and then yeah, he looks pretty normal from the side. It's just that camera angle is really pushed when he's like that. I found that it's a little weirder, in my opinion, when you use this feature on the female model, because I feel like you just get that. And I feel like that was happening with a lot of poses. It was very awkward. So I think even if I was drawing a female character, I probably wouldn't, I don't know, like, is it gonna do it here? It's not as bad. It's not as bad, but it was like a little awkward from some positions. No tool is perfect. So the last thing I'll talk about really quickly is, so how do you use all of this? So make a new layer and just go into my pen or my pencil and I'll draw over it. And you can lower your opacity so you're kind of, it's a little transparent. And then I don't have my tablet, so I'm doing this with a mouse, but you can just kind of draw over it in a new layer. And if you want to come back to this and edit it, and you've clicked out of it, and you're like, wait, what am I doing? I can't do anything. You just want to go back to this operation tool up here, and now you can go back to editing. And so this is a piece that I did recently where I used a model as a starting point, and you can see I loaded in the pose originally, and then I edited it a little bit and adjusted it and tweaked it, and then I had traced over it, but I moved that around and kind of changed it since then, so it doesn't line up anymore, but you can kind of see the point. It was really useful to have that as a starting point. And this piece was a commission that I did for Mermaid Comics on Twitch, Maclanahan on Twitter. This is his character, Palm, who is super cute. I love her. She was really fun to draw. But yeah, I started with that basic pose, and then I tweaked it. We got from this to that. This is a very awesome feature. I highly recommend it. I hope that this demystified it a little bit for you, because like I said, I was very confused by it. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Please let me know if there are any other Clip Studio features you want me to go over. I am learning, but I'm happy to share what I'm learning as I go. And until next time, chase your dreams. Peace. Thanks again for watching. This video is brought to you by my patrons. If you would like to support this channel, get your name in the credits, and early access to videos and other good stuff, head over to patreon.com/JaceyChase. And special thanks to Senshi who provided the pose that I used to make the artwork for this video. If you're not familiar, Senshi is an amazing resource for artists. They have thousands of poses that you can use for free, and you can also support them on Patreon. So if you can afford to do that, go throw them a buck or two, because what they do for the art community is really awesome.